the rights of gun rights. And so we're going to bring Annette Elliott, the owner of the nation's gun show. And you're on.
Hi, Daryl. Thank you for having me on.
Hi, thank
Nice to
you.
be here.
Yeah,
Thank you.
I am. I'm just so excited to have you on because I promise, we talked for about a couple of months about having this gun show, and and one of the things that so amazes me that there's a woman owns the nation gun show, and that's exciting to me. That's so exciting. So it's and I'm sure especially a lot of females would like to know more about you. But we're going to talk about the gun show. Tell us about the gun show. How'd you got started? How long have you owned the gun show, the nation's gun show?
The first year was 2005, so 17 years now. And we got started with the Roanoke Valley Gun Show in Roanoke, Virginia. And it started off in a National Guard for a couple of years. And then in 1971, in August of 1971, we had the very first event ever at the Roanoke Civic Center in the exhibit hall. So, so we celebrated our anniversary with them every year. And so that was 51 years ago.
Hmm.
And um, so, so that's my parents started it. My dad's an internal medicine
Which
retired doctor.
when I met your
And
dad, I met you. We was at the hotel. We had a long conversation. He's an awesome father.
very
Yes.
knowledgeable about firearms.
Hmm.
And so my mother and him started this show 51 years, or that show, the Roanoke Valley Gun Show, 51 years ago, and the business itself. So that's how it began. And he went to Hargrave Military Academy and graduated sixth out of his class at 16. So he was into it, like playing with guns, and he invited his buddies, and that's how it started. A lot of people don't know the way gun shows started. That long ago, an FFL was not allowed to go off of his site, so they weren't actually allowed to come to the shows and set up. Over time, then they made it so the FFLs could come, and then so all along they've been changing these laws as, as time progressed. So it is something that has changed over time quite a bit for the fact that you couldn't even have a federal firearms licensee, and all of the people that came were private, what they call a private dealer now. So anyway, then they made it so the FFLs could come. Then they went through this stage where they told the FFLs, well, you're only selling 10 or 12 to your friends and buddies. They called them kitchen table dealers. Said, oh, you don't have to have an FFL, but you can still set up a gun show. So then they turn in their FFLs, and then they go back to telling them, well, now you can't set up. So they've been changing it over time all along, and everybody tries to comply and do what they can do to make it right, but it's got a long history of a lot of change.
So, talk to us about the politics of a gun show. I'm sure you've gotten some. I'm sure you got some hell from politicians, especially the left, the Democrats, that said, what's this gun show about? Why are you selling guns?" And we all know why guns and
Well,
ammo and everything is needed in our communities.
oh yeah. I mean, look at the crime now. We've got what 51% up in murder nationwide, unprecedented. 53% up in crime in general nationwide. Um, Rape, all those horrible things, carjackings, kidnappings with carjackings, all that stuff's up. So yeah, people, and I love that last New York decision that NRA was absolutely. And I mean, they're the ones that won that. That was their lawyers that worked on. So I love it while they were getting beat up by all these politicians and folks joining in and beating them up. Here they actually pulled off a huge victory, so that we could actually bear arms as the Constitution says, and it's extremely important that people be able to bear arms. I mean, just to be able to sit in your home like a sitting duck, you want to be able to have them in your home, but you also want to be able to take them out. Those are the way Mexican laws are. The actual their gun control laws say they can own firearms and keep them in their homes, but they can't carry them.
Mm.
And we all know how safe Mexico is. So, every time, every time they take one of these rights away,
Hmm.
and I've been there. I mean, it's very dangerous and it's very poor. Um, and I wasn't even in the poorest southern section of Mexico, but you know, the laws that the Democrats are proposing are similar to those. And every time they create, say, one of these gun free zones, that's what they're doing. They're attacking people's right to be able to protect themselves. They're obviously not gun free zones. 92% of the mass shootings have happened in gun free zones. That's a
Hmm.
pretty solid statistic that this is not working. And schools are definitely one of those areas.
Yes.
So they've actually created the problem. I love that. They create the problem and then they come back and offer you a solution to a problem that didn't exist before, and now it does. So, and after you see that, you can't ignore the numbers, but that's what they're doing.
So
So
yeah, I definitely
I think
understand.
every time they make a gun-free zone, it's another huge loss for the American citizen.
So at your gun show, you have all different types of products. Tell us about the product. I go, you have the guns, the ammo, but you have just more. You have clothing. There's so many things that people are
Oh,
selling
uh,
at your gun show.
oh yeah. So we have guns, of course, tons of guns, right? Every kind of gun you can imagine. We've got handguns, we got collector firearms, carry-on relics, um, ARs. We've got AR manufacturers, builders. We have AR accessories. So that in itself is just a whole um, group of vendors. Then there's safes, knives, surplus, body armor. I'm trying to think of all. That's a huge amount of things. I mean, just holsters alone. There's three different types of. Well, there's three different beginnings of holsters, right? We have leather, Kydex, and nylon, and then we have hybrids of those because, um, if you want to wear a holster up against your skin, it's more comfortable if it's leather, right? It's just like your tennis shoes; they conform to your body.
Yes.
So, and when you come to a show, so think about that. There's no such thing as a holster shop anywhere. So when you come to a gun show, you can go and you can pick out your gun and you can get your ammo. You can get some defensive ammo, and you can also get some target ammo. So you pay less for that. You're just going to burn it up at the range and learn how to use your firearm. And and so you can get your gun, your ammo, your holster. You go to the gentleman, and then he'll talk to you. He'll ask you, um, you know, how do you wear your firearm? How are you dressed?
Hmm.
Are you gonna tuck it in your jeans? Are you gonna wear regular dress pants? Do you have a jacket? Do you want it? What level of concealment do you want? And so these folks, they can sit there and they can explain it to you and tell you, let's say you want to wear it jogging. Well, there's a lot of holsters that won't work for that because you're jumping around and moving around a lot. So, they might tell you to get one of those waistband belts so you can put the firearm, especially women,
Hmm.
I shouldn't say that because certainly men are in danger too, but women out jogging, they're definitely a target. And so you can get one of those belts that goes around and you stick it down inside of it, and nobody can even see that it's on you. And and you go jogging feeling, a little more safe, a little more secure. Uh,
Yes. At the gun show, I tell everybody you can get the best beef jerky. And there is like a culture, a family at your gun show because I've been here at least 5 or 6 times, and at the different hotels, especially in Chantilly, it's like a family, like a reunion every Chantilly show. It's like all the guys we're all sitting down talking about the gun show, talking about the products, and I have my book, but it's one of the things that we talked about last. I think it was last night about women and the protection of women and why women need to protect themselves and also get the training that they need for protection on how to protect themselves. Go ahead.
right, right, and that's true too. I mean, if you want to be an independent woman, here you've got your job, you're going out, you need to run out and get groceries late at night or something. He can't always be with you. You should be able to protect yourself. You should know how to use your firearm. You should have it in a place where you can get to it rapidly, have your concealed carry, and know how to use it. If it jams, you need to be able to quickly, clear the gun. So I think it's definitely a women's empowerment all the time. They're focusing on the men having them, but more and more women and minorities. And that's a really interesting thing that happened through COVID and happened, and it's continued,
Yes.
is all the minorities and all the women, they have been the largest percentage of new gun buyers, new gun owners,
Hmm.
and they're going, and women, they do their homework too. They go out and they get their training and learn how to use the firearm, learn where it's safe to carry it. So we have concealed carry classes, and then we have classes just how to care and feed your AR-15. There's all kinds of interesting classes that are more advanced for people that um, already have been into the hobby for a
Hmm.
long time. So, so there's just, and there's also body armor. I'm trying to think of all the things that come to this show. There's just so many, such a variety of things. Um, we have tactical gear and survival gear and range bags, and we have an individual that comes and makes earplugs, and they're custom made earplugs, and you can hook them to Bluetooth. So not only is it really good hearing protection, but you can also hear other people talk around you. You can hear your devices. So there's just a lot of optics, scopes, night vision, thermal, just like the rest of the world that's advanced. The firearms industry has too. There's always something new and wonderful coming out that's different than what we had before. Thermal. I mean, they make thermals that are the size of a postage stamp that'll go on a handgun,
Hmm.
and say you live in the woods and now you hear something creeping around in the woods. Now, is this a two-legged or is it a four-legged creature? um, and you can put your thermal up and take a look and see what it is. um, there's shooting glasses, the ranges come, there's all kinds of Second Amendment advocacy groups too. Of course, NRA, which I've already tooted their horn because they've been beat up for a really long time, and I think people don't realize how very, very important NRA is. They're just a Goliath of a group. It's the very first civil rights group, and they are protecting a very basic right that needs protected, which is one of the reasons they went after them so hard.
Hmm.
But then you've got VCDL, also another great, and all the Second Amendment advocacy groups they all play their role. I mean, if there's so many attacks on this right now, I think we need the whole group. VCDL is Virginia Citizens Defense League, and so I let them set up at the show, and also NRA. I give them their space, and then um, I actually give in-kind donations for every time somebody joins at that nation's gun show. Half of the money that's going when they buy that NRA membership, half of the ticket money admission, I'm eating that. I'm doing in-kind donations. I gave one weekend 14,000 for 2,000 memberships that were gathered that weekend.
Hmm.
So we're behind it. We do it for VCDL too because we want people to join. We want them to be informed about what's going on in their community,
Okay.
in their state, federally, what is happening. And see, that's NRA. I
Hmm.
mean, you can't have somebody fighting from a state level. I mean, you can, they can help a little, of course, especially when it starts in your state. But you have to have something on the federal level and the type of money that NRA has too.
Hmm.
There's just nothing else like it to fight. I don't
So
want to keep.
so tell us, tell us about some of the cities that you go in. I mean, you're in Chantilly, you're in Pennsylvania, and you have
Right,
Ocean City, Maryland coming
Pennsylvania
up
is
next.
Monroeville.
Huh?
Right. So we've got Monroeville, which is that's right outside of Pittsburgh. That one's October 15 and 16. We have one in Ocean City that's coming up weekend,
Tell us about that. Tell
and
us, I can't get a hotel
that's
room.
that's
Tell-
yeah,
tell-
hotels are just a fit everywhere we go now because of this chain of supply and not being able to get people to work, and they can't. They're having problems maintaining
Mhm.
uh, rooms, so they can't rent the whole hotel out. But and then that forces the prices up too. But yeah, that's going to be a great show. It's 700 tables and booths. It is the Ocean City Gun and Outdoor Sportsman Show, and it is at the Ocean City Convention Center. We have the whole convention center. It is being hosted. We're part of another bigger group called the OC Adventure Fest,
Yes.
which that's their website is ocadventurefest.com, and we have all these military and veteran groups coming and police. So we have Hogs and Heroes, is um, part of the Maryland State Police Motorcycle Division that's
Mhm.
coming, and then we have a K9 group. Kinetics is coming, and so some very interesting. They're going the Hogs and Heroes is going to be at the front out in the parking lot doing demonstrations,
Awesome.
basically
Awesome.
motorcycle stunts. I mean, you're going to see, yeah,
Yes.
you're going to see people that have been riding motorcycles for a while that can do really cool stunts on them. Um, and then we have the K9 folks coming, and that's being headed up from I believe it's the head of the Secret Service Canine Division, and they're going to be showing what the dogs can do,
Okay.
showing
Awesome.
how, yeah, and, and also then they have things like canine CPR. So they're
Wow.
giving demonstrations on things you can do, yeah, to
Save a
save your
dog.
dog,
Wow.
and right,
Right.
right.
Wow.
It's going to be very, very interesting, and we've got uh, Blackout Veterans coming, which is a veterans group. We
Mhm.
have just all kinds of interesting, great things. It's going to be an action-packed weekend. We also have, the gun show again with every type of gun you can imagine. We also have something Maryland's not seen before, I don't think, which is DC concealed carry classes. A lot of people don't know they're right there. They're very close.
Mhm.
And a lot of these folks do have to run into DC a lot. And we know how safe DC is now. So you can get a concealed carry permit for DC. It takes a
Awesome.
little time and a little bit of money, but worth saving your life. And then we have Maryland and HQL classes and Utah classes. So they have 5 different options of classes there.
Mhm.
And then, of course, we have just the regular vendors again,
Okay.
body armor. We've got another earplug guy coming there. We've got optic scopes, night vision thermal, shooting glasses. Um, we even have Native American weapons
Oh
coming.
wow.
So
That
there's,
that that'll be all. That's
the
awesome.
collector,
So one of the
yeah,
things that we're
yeah, cleaning
okay.
products.
Okay. So one of the things that we're going to do, we're going to show the video of that you have at the Nation's Gun Show on YouTube, the YouTube video, so people can watch exactly, the experience this gun show. You can see it right on the video, right on this show. And so when we come back, we're going to have Rick Ector on from the NRA. You know who he is, right? You know
Oh
Rick. Oh
yeah,
yeah,
oh yeah,
he's
he's
going.
great.
Yeah, he's going to be on, and we're going to be talking about the gun shows. We're going to rights and all over the country. So we're going to show this video of the Nation's Gun Show. People got to watch it, understand it's an adventure, it's a culture, a great event that people should actually go to and learn. So we're ready. You're going to set it up. All right. So we're going to set up this video and watch it. And next it'll be Rick Ector, and Annette will be on. Good.
We're at the Nation's Gun Show in Chantilly, Virginia, which is one of the largest gun shows. Besides coming to the gun show and just buying a handgun for yourself, they've got rifles, there's relic guns from World War II, and if you're a history buff, you can take your firearm that you have and have a custom holster made for it. You can get things engraved. You can buy knives and flashlights and hats and Cerakoting, which is where you cover all types of cleaning supplies and ammo and educational videos and books. I mean, it's like a domino effect where once you touch one item, you buy a gun, and you need bags to carry all that in. It's all available here at the gun show.
This particular show has been around for a while. It's one of the largest in the area. We always try to attend because many of the thousands of visitors that come through this show also have a chance to come through and see the NRA's National Firearms Museum. It's a great facility. We have thousands of guns for folks to see, just as there are thousands of guns here at the Showmaster Show. But it's a chance to see history, and that's the best thing about a good gun show.
We have today some original Thompsons here, original Maxims from as far back as World War I. One of my philosophies personally is that none of us, whether we're dealers or individual collectors or any of that, actually own these guns. We're just trustees for the next generation.
I've been a collector of antique arms for probably 30 years. But I love history, and so I bring mostly my antique vintage arms centered around most of the wars of American history. I've got stuff from the Revolutionary War through the War of 1812, all your major wars, Mexican War, Civil War, Old West items, anything pre-1898 is my forte, but I'm just a collector at heart. I love America, I love our country, and I love history.
There are also swords. I love swords, and the reason is they're beautiful. Not only because they're beautiful, but because they meant so much to the people who were using them. They stood for honor. They stood for personal values. They stood for family history. In other words, they stood for so much more, if I may put it this way at a gun show, than a firearm ever could or ever did. Well, I'll tell you, this is a great show because of the enormous crowds that it brings in. You know, often things walk in through the door, interesting things. You know, maybe a dealer can purchase them. Maybe they walk in just so a dealer can tell the owner what he or she has on their hands. And you've got things here that would delight a history professor. It's an education.
My chief interest is mostly samurai swords, Japanese swords, and I have sold a lot of suits of armor, complete sets. Most of the swords you find in this country were the ones that were brought back by the military after World War II. And a lot of them bring them to me, they say, this is my uncle's sword, this is my grandfather's sword that he brought back, tell me something about it. So I take it apart and analyze it and give them all the information they need. The fun of it, the swords, in like any collecting, is the knowledge, what you're learning and what you're getting out of the study.
Knives are like firearms. You have rifles, you have handguns, you have automatic. There are a lot of different types of knives. And so what we do is offer a large selection in all of the major areas. So outdoor sports, including hunting, backpacking, camping, those kinds of knives, which are completely different from custom and collectible knives, which are different again from everyday carry folding knives, pocket knives, and we carry knives that range from about $20 to several $1,000s. Knives are an investment, not unlike firearms, and we carry products for that. And what we bring to the shows, 600, 700, 800 most popular knives.
Mostly people, they come to the gun show, they're very educated. People, they bring their family, they bring their children to show them how to buy a knife, how to handle knife, how to handle the gun. They all family people and they enjoy their life and they enjoy their hobby. I do have some regular knife, then I have some handmade knife in the USA, right here in Virginia. Each one they put their name on it too.
First and foremost,
We're on. Hey, we're on. This is Daryl Brooks, the host of the Nation's Gun Show. We're back, and we're going to bring Annette Elliott and Rick Ector from the NRA. Welcome. Hey, Rick, what's going on, brother? Can you hear me?
Hey man, I'm good.
I
Can you hear me?
Yes, I can hear you. You have Annette Elliott, the owner of the Nation's Gun Show. You there, Annette? Say
I
hi.
see her.
Yeah,
How you doing,
I'm
Annette?
here. Yeah, good. How are you doing, Rick?
Hey, I'm having a great day today. Absolutely.
Yes, you're the left worst nightmare. What does that mean? The left talk because I've had you on Fire Show maybe about a year or two ago, and I'm reading all this information, YouTube, and it says you're the left worst nightmare. Tell us why you are the left worst nightmare.
That was an awesome video that the NRA came out to Detroit and put together, man. It was surrounding an event that I do every year, and I recently conducted the 11th iteration of that program. And what this program does is that it provides a free range safety briefing and a free shooting lesson for women. And it's something that I came up with after watching a very disturbing story on my local news here in Detroit about a woman who had been raped and her body was discarded in the street as if it was trash. And so I embarked upon a program I came up with to give women a free range safety briefing and a free shooting lesson.
Mm-hmm.
And that first year I trained 50 women, and the program has grown by leaps and bounds. A couple of years ago, 2020, we hit our high water mark, with all the things going on. We had just under 2,000 women that we trained in the weekend with a range briefing and a shooting lesson. And we're still going strong. And I'm entertaining ideas on how to grow this program even further. In terms of being the left's worst nightmare, is that I'm dispelling a lot of myths about guns that are not true, that they are a great indispensable tool for everyone, especially women who are the preferred target of rapists, murderers, and jackers. And I'm very proud of what I'm doing, of the people that I've enlisted to help me in this cause. Just at the last event that we did this past summer, July 30th and 31st, we had a number of firearm instructors who came to visit Detroit from out of town to help me do this.
Mm-hmm.
To train a large number of women in a weekend. I can't do it by myself. My sponsors are huge trainers who come on their own dime from all four corners of the country to help me do this. I mean, it's awesome. And yeah, the fact that I do this
Okay.
to a lot of particular areas of our society that don't get the message. Yeah, I guess that does make me the left's biggest nightmare.
So, Annette and Rick, when I was, growing up, and we can talk about these things. So when I was growing up, and especially in the city of Trenton, the police will always say, "You don't need a gun. You don't need a gun. The cops will be there. We'll be there." And you see all the violence that's happening in Philadelphia, Camden, Jersey, D.C., definitely Detroit, Chicago, Los Angeles, and they always tell you, the politicians and the police, you don't need a gun. And when you see all the violence that is taking place, I've seen heard an interview in Philadelphia, an older woman. There was somebody was breaking in the house. She pulled out a gun and started shooting. The guy took off. And these politicians, these liberal left Democratic politicians always say, you don't need a gun, you need to protect yourself. Tell us how wrong it is for them to think this way.
Man, let me tell you, I have a personal story, man.
Individuals should have a gun to protect themselves.
Let me tell you.
You're talking about we have to protect your property, protect your rights, protect your family, but we've always been told you don't need a gun.
Man, let me tell you, I completely understand. It was approximately 16, 17 years ago, man, that I bought into a lot of the nonsense in my community that you don't need a gun, you're just contributing to the problem. Mm-hmm. Let me tell you, I was robbed at gunpoint in my own driveway coming home from work one day, man. And that unfortunate incident changed my life. I started investigating about firearms and their role in personal protection, and that buying a gun, owning a gun, and getting a permit to carry does not make you a bad guy or a bad person. And one of the things that we talked about in the last segment, well, last few moments ago, was this whole thing about with the women's training event that I do. You know, they get to come in and they hear the safety briefing, they get to shoot, and then they say, wow, this is totally different than what I was expecting. A lot of things that I've heard from people that I respect in my local community, in the newspaper and on the news TV shows, they have it all wrong. I can identify with a person who owns a gun and uses it for personal protection, and I'm not one of these evil people that they say that gun owners are. So I get it. My firsthand experience of being robbed in my driveway, seeing a woman who unfortunately met her demise, and I caught the story 11 years ago, and I created this free firearms training event for women. And let me tell you, changing hearts and minds every year, every event, it's what I live for, and I'm glad to have the opportunity to do that.
Annette, you know, gun shows, they the media, you know, especially they try to give gun shows a bad rap. You know, gun shows, there are people getting these guns from the gun show and committing all types of crimes, which is totally not true. You know, let me just say this, I have never seen any NRA Second Amendment legal person go out there and rob and kill and murder. It's always individuals that have stolen guns and done terrible things, and it is not the gun shows. So, you know, tell us about the politics and the media when it comes to the gun shows, and why the media is so against gun shows.
Well, I don't actually think it is, because, I mean, the numbers are out there.
Mm-hmm.
Gun shows do not significantly contribute to criminals who get firearms. It's 0.7%. They've done two studies. The first one was done under Bill Clinton and Janet Reno, no friends to the Second Amendment, and and I'm sure they were trying to come up with numbers and to make us and a whole bunch, gun stores look bad. And it turned out, of course, they're stealing them, and they're getting them from friends and family, borrowing or stealing them off of their own family. And, the fact that 0.7% of guns come from gun shows tells you something right in itself. So 99.3 that are used, in a crime in any type of crime, in a violent crime, that's what we're interested in, right? We don't care about white collar crime. We care about violent crime. 99.3% of them are coming from somewhere else. So why this huge focus on gun shows? And I think it's because it allows people to get together. You get to exercise your right to assemble, your First Amendment right to assemble, mm-hmm. and speak to each other. And you've got these Second Amendment advocacy groups who are very vocal and very annoying to the politicians passing these gun laws that hurt American citizens. So I don't think it's got a thing to do with crime, which is what we ought to be caring about. But I mean, look on now. I mean, they're literally releasing criminals. They have been now for 3 years. And I don't want to get into the whole politics of the border, but the fact is, we're letting people come across that aren't being vetted. Most of those people are probably just people that need asylum, that want a better place to live. But if you're not vetting any of them, then you're going to get some bad ones too.
So I ask you a question. What happens with someone who has a record, they're illegal, they're a convicted felon, and they try to go to a gun show and buy a gun? What happens? Because I've seen what happens to some of them that have tried to buy guns.
Oh, yeah. Yeah. And it'll tell you something else about gun shows. So we're mandated to have state police there. We do the background checks. And then it took us 5 years to get through, 5 years to have the first arrest there at Chantilly. And that was doing 4 a year. Roanoke has, on average, 1 a year. most criminals are not going to come in where there's lots of lights and cops
Hmm.
and half of these dealers too are former military or law
Yes,
enforcement or
yes,
present.
yes.
And those guys aren't going to be they're a little more observant than the average person. So they're not going to be selling to criminal type. So lots of times they catch them and will deny them a sale. And then if they go ahead and fill out the paperwork and they have a warrant for their arrest, they're arrested on site,
On site. I've
and
seen
it
it.
happens. And I
I've
mean,
definitely, yes,
yeah, and it could be something as simple. I mean, we're doing our civil duty,
yes.
cleaning up folks that shouldn't be out for sure. And the media is very helpful in sending them in to us, telling them, oh, there's no gun show loophole. I've actually had one standing at the front of a building going, and he filled out the paperwork, and apparently they don't understand the paperwork because it's very clearly a federal form and a Virginia State Police form that you're in Virginia that you're filling out to purchase a firearm, and you're going to have a background check run on you, and they'll the one just stood there and said, "Well, it says on the news that there is no background check." I don't know what they thought they were filling out, but it is interesting and seeing a good bit of it. And
Hmm.
it actually has increased. The more they tell people, the more they come in and try it. But it really is the dumbest of dumb
Yes,
criminals. You're not going to catch the serious ones.
yes.
The ones that are orchestrating crime in the background are not going to come in. They're going to send somebody in. Um, and so anyway, I think
I
it's all
understand.
political. I think it's media. It's a way to villainize guns. They keep trying this stuff on everybody. They keep
Hmm.
trying to villainize people when they're actually not, and
Yeah,
and try to
yeah.
stop
I
people
definitely,
from
I
purchasing firearms. We saw how well that worked
yes,
out the last couple of years. It's been
yes,
really amazing because
yes,
there's so much crime. People are just
yes.
going and buying guns.
So, Rick, I want to ask you a question. What is the percentage of, I see now at these gun shows, you see more minorities. I see Spanish, African Americans, I see Indians, and I see women. Uh, Tell us about the rate of minorities buying guns.
Well, I mean, it's no different in Detroit as it's been widely reported in the media that we're experiencing all over the country.
Hmm.
There's been an explosion in interest in firearms in general, and that correspondingly will show increases in women and minorities buying firearms and being interested in taking on a more active role in their personal protection. It's across the board. Overall interest is high. And correspondingly, you're going to have more minorities who are interested, man. And you know what? It's a great thing because one of the things that we've noticed over the last couple of summers, man, is that a lot of outrageous crimes were being conducted all over the
Yes,
country. And in
yes,
many
yes.
cases, they were done with police on site who were just told to stand down and just observe and do nothing. That helped throw more gasoline onto the fire.
Hmm.
And, within the last couple of past years, I mean, I believe, and I can be corrected if I'm wrong, but an overwhelming interest in firearms has increased. And some of these anti-gunners with their activities and shenanigans out in public, they have created an environment in which paradoxically more people are buying guns because of all the foolishness that they were doing on camera. So you know what? Good people who see bad people do bad things in their community,
Hmm.
particularly when they notice that police response may not be as good as they would like, they will behave rationally. And
Hmm.
common sense says, hey, if I can go buy a gun and protect my home and protect my family, that's what I'm going to do.
Yeah. Rick, I was at a gun show in Philadelphia, Trevose, Pennsylvania, and there was a few other African American men. We were all talking about guns, and he said, Daryl, I got carjacked at my car in Philadelphia, He
Right.
said, yeah, he said, I have to have he said, I have children, I have a family,
Hmm.
I need to protect
Hmm.
myself. And he said, well, just in the barbershop, some guy ran into the barbershop and then held people hostage. So the guy who owned the barbershop said, I need a shotgun. I need some weapons. And, people, when we tell people about guns, we're not trying to say, this is not going to be no wild, wild west shootout. We're not going, shooting everybody. We're not running down the street with a gun like Gunsmoke in those movies. People have these guns that are just for protection. You don't see people,
Man, let me tell you.
if you come, like I said, my grandma, God bless her, St. Mary's, Georgia, Miss Elliott, and she had a rifle and a shotgun. And she had that gun. She was like, what, 70 years old. I was a little kid. I walked in there like, okay, what's this? Don't bother it, and you get smacked, you get a beating if you would even touch any of the guns. But she wanted to protect herself. And this was down in St. Mary's,
Right.
Georgia, where the culture was, we're not trying to kill anyone, we're just going hunting and for protection. That's it. And it's sad how they look at people with guns as someone, the individuals trying to push anarchy in their communities.
Nah, man, it's not anarchy at all. And you know what? There's a different culture in our country, the North and the South.
Mm-hmm.
Historically, people in the South have adopted firearms as a way of life, more so than people up north. People up north, man, there seems to be, a reluctance with regards to firearms. And I'm not going to say in North in general, particularly in your large urban centers, your very large cities. And you know what? I'll be blunt, that are, democratic areas. And, I don't want to make any sweeping statements, but firearms ownership cuts across a lot of demographics, man. And let me tell you, here in the city of Detroit, the city is majority Black, African American, however you want to classify us, man. But we have guns, and we're gun owners. And you know what? Many of us have been victims of crime, such as myself, man.
Mm-hmm.
And it's just a rational decision to buy a firearm, learn how to use it. And if you happen to live in an area in which you can get a carry permit, if you even need one, then get one. But, one of the unfortunate realities is that in places in our country, particularly in the North, which have large urban populations, that's where gun control happens to be the strictest and the most stringent. And so you have people in New York, people in Chicago, people in Detroit, people in Camden, New Jersey, who are having a lot of difficulties in exercising their right to be gun owners and to get carry permits. And some people say, well, hey, man, Detroit has a right to carry and shall issue. Yeah, man, but we have Democrats running the departments that issue the licenses. Right now, there's anywhere from an 8-month to a year waiting period after you file your application to even get a permit. You got to wait up to a year to come in and turn in your application and pay your application fee. So it's very discouraging and it's very disheartening. Even in areas in the North where we do have shall issue, they're disenfranchising us by delaying us with the opportunity to even apply for the gun. So
Okay.
I'm pro-gun 100%, man. And I am cheering with glee when I see a lot of these gun restrictions being struck down by the courts, man. We need more of that to happen. And as a matter of fact, I'm in favor of constitutional carry and just remove these anti-gun politicians from the process altogether. Don't get a permit anyway.
So, Annette, how long does it take in Virginia to get a gun for license?
Oh, you go and you apply for it, and I think it's 6 weeks by the time as soon as you get the class, you take the certificate in and you normally apply at the clerk of courts in your county of residence. And it's 6 weeks and they send it to you, and they mail it to you. But normally, I'm trying to remember, and then until then, I think once you have applied and Well, I don't know. I don't know about that part. Whether
Well, we'll get there.
after
Well,
you've applied one,
Well,
because you actually have
6
to get it
weeks.
from them.
Yeah.
It's fast. And
6 weeks
normally that's the
it's
longest.
6 weeks is an annoyance, but can you imagine anywhere from 6 months, 8 months, or to a year
Doesn't
to get
make
a carry
sense.
permit?
No,
Doesn't make sense at
no,
all.
it's not right.
Yeah.
That sounds like you need to have somebody sue in your wherever you're at. If they're taking 10 months, a year, whatever it is that they're doing, I mean, let's say you really do have,
you know,
and that's what
you
we're
know
talking
one of the
about. You
fun.
have some circumstance and you need your firearm. They're making it ridiculous. And we see that happen all the time too, where somebody applies and they take too long, and then something horrible, her ex comes back and kills her while she's waiting to get her legal firearm.
Yeah. So
And it's really funny because here in Detroit, the anti-gun party, pretty much is the Democratic Party. I mean, it's going to be blunt. And I live in an area where the city is 70% black, and there's an interest in black people in getting guns here. And when they go through the process of taking the class and they're setting an appointment for their date to go into the county clerk's office and to apply for the carry permit, they're like, hey, I have to wait 6 months, 8 months, or a year. This isn't right. And I'm like, you're right. It's evil. And here's the punchline. The punchline is it's your fault. You vote in elections and you vote for anti-gun candidates in the county clerk's office, the same people who give you a marriage license and a death certificate very quickly and expeditiously, but you want to get a gun carry permit, a permit to carry, and it's 6 months, 8 months, and a year. It's your fault. And so there's a part of me that looks at it and with a sick sense of satisfaction that you're bearing the consequences of your actions of voting for anti-gun candidates. Yes, you're in the major urban areas. Yes. However,
all right.
You can find a person in an urban area who supports gun rights in your community. Mm-hmm. Do your homework and vote accordingly.
That's right. So, Rick and Ms. Elliott, we have about 5 minutes to go. So, Rick, I'd like to thank you for coming on the show. Where can people find you and learn about your program that you have every year?
Oh, man, let me tell you, if I can, let me just quickly let you and your listening audience know I was very fortunate and blessed recently to have been selected by the National Rifle Association to be put onto the official endorsed section of the ballot for the upcoming NRA Board of Directors.
Awesome.
The ballots will be in the February issue of all the NRA publications. So if you're an NRA member and you get the magazine, mm-hmm. You'll find a ballot in February. If people are looking to learn more about me, they can go to my Ector for NRA Board of Directors group page over on Facebook. By all means, find me on the internet, Instagram, YouTube, Twitter. Either Rick Ector or Detroit CCW. There's no way you can miss me. And I look forward to speaking and networking with your audience, man. And
awesome.
Truly, I want to let you know it's a pleasure having me on today.
Oh, thank you, brother. So one other question. Let's say, why should people go to a gun show?
Well, I'd say people should go to a gun show. Oh, you're talking to her. I'm sorry.
Talking to you, Rick. Rick, right quick. Why should people go to Annette Elliott, the nation's gun show? Why should the average citizen go?
I would say, quick. You know what? I like going to gun shows just to look and see what's out there, man. You never know what you're going to see at a gun show.
Yes.
You can go to your traditional gun stores and you get, the guns that you expect. But, man, to go to a gun show, it's like treasure hunting, man.
Yes,
you never know what you're going to see. Yes. And you'll fall in love and buy something and be immensely happy, with your purchase.
All right, so Rick, thank you for coming on. God bless. Be safe. Now we're back. This is Daryl Brooks of the Nation's Gun Show. I have with me right now, Annette Elliott, the owner of the Nation's Gun Show. So is there anything else you're going to tell us about the gun show? This show will be on hopefully every week. Every Thursday, we have different special guests coming on about the gun show. We're going to have you more on talk about the gun show. So the next gun show is when? this coming Saturday,
Okay, so
Friday, Saturday.
right, we got Friday, Saturday, Sunday.
Uh-huh.
Ocean City Gun and Outdoor Sportsman Show is at the Ocean City Convention Center, September 23, 24, 25. It's the entire convention center. And it is, you can find it on the website at www.showmastersgunshows.com and just click on Ocean City. And then it's also part of the OC Adventure Fest. So we're inside of that show. And then the next weekend, we are in Chantilly,
I
Virginia
love Chantilly.
at the Nation's Gun Show. Yeah, it's a big one. It's a huge show. I mean, what he was just talking about, it is amazing what you can find at that one. Pretty much anything that you want. I mean, if you want to learn to shoot long range over 1,000 yards, there are people there that are experts at it. It's just a very interesting, eclectic group of people. So you've got modern firearms, antique firearms, collector firearms, carry-on relic, body armor, just everything you can imagine. And training, everything you can imagine, gun
Definitely.
show and gun wise.
Oh, definitely. And I'll try to be there this week, but definitely Chantilly. I got my hotel ready for Chantilly. So listen, I just want to thank you. I just want to thank you for sponsoring the gun show.
Thank you.
The Nation's Gun Show. People are excited. We're going to spread the word. We're going to send this email out. We're going to send this out to thousands, hopefully millions of people to get this. And it's just so exciting. The show will be aired on Tuesday at 4:00. Today we started 5:00. We had so much the technical difficulties. There's always the technical difficulties. Yes. Well, we finally have you on and have Rick Ector on. So I want people to understand, that there's nothing wrong for protecting yourself, protecting your family, protecting your property, and just go to a gun show. There's so many people just afraid. Oh my God, I'm not going to the gun show. They're crazy there. No, they're not crazy. They're decent people. Listen, everyday working people looking for ideas, protection, and just want to have you're going to have a good time at a gun show. You're going to enjoy yourself. You're going to enjoy the culture of the Nation's Gun Show. And how many cities are you in? Again, at least.
Oh, I think I'm in 15
cities.
But I haven't counted recently. Yeah.
So you have people, even in Chantilly, you got people coming from Maryland, you got people from Virginia, West Virginia. I've met people from West Virginia, just came up and talking, met people from Pennsylvania, people from New York, people from Pennsylvania, all over. They just come to the gun show because they're with their children and family, and it's a great family affair. We're going to show the end of the YouTube video before we log off with this. I just want to say I thank you for coming on. God bless. Stay safe, and you'll be hearing from me. And we're going to send everybody the link. So thank you. This is the Nation's Gun Show, Tuesday, 4:00. Keep watching. We're going to show you the YouTube video of the Nation's Gun Show.
What we've been able to provide is a wide range of training from the very bottom level, which is a Virginia certification course for being able to get your concealed carry permit in the state of Virginia, all the way up to more advanced and tactical training for folks that want to know better about not just how do I handle my gun properly, but how do I handle my gun property in an emergency. In addition to just certification classes, we also do operational mindset or classes in which you set yourself ready to defend yourself. 99% of what you need to protect yourself, to keep yourself and your family safe, it's right here. And that's what we help you understand.
I've been to the Nation's Gun Show since it started. We've been in business since 1982. We started doing gun shows at the Roanoke Gun Show with Annette's mother. And we bring 3,500 to 4,000 guns to this show. We do every gun show there is in Virginia. I think the selection that we have far exceeds anything else you'll find in the show. And then we back it up with good service. If you have a problem with our gun, bring it to me. We'll take care of it. We don't make the guns, but we can make the guns right for you. I'm dealing with people's grandchildren that I've sold guns to. We want a long-term relationship with every customer that we have. Hey guys, this is Jerry Cochran with Trader Jerry's. Come and see us at the Nation's Gun Show. We'd love to have you here. We invite you to come. It's the best event you'll attend.
We are at the Nation's Gun Show, Chantilly, Virginia. We specialize in handguns, but we also sell ARs, rifles, shotguns, and ammunition. We are unique just because we're a family-operated business. We work with you to give you the best deal we can. The Nation's Gun Show is the biggest gun show in Virginia, and by far the most tables, the biggest crowd. Here you can buy anything from gun safes to almost anything gun related or hunting related.
We've been coming here for the last 13 years, and we're going to continue to come because this is one of our best shows year in and year out. We're the #1 distributor for EOTech, Aimpoint, Trijicon, FLIR. We have all types of Sightmark and Firefield. We actually manufacture Osprey.
I make custom AR-15s. I specialize in long-range calibers, the 6.5 Grendel. I make side charge upper receivers. I have custom lower receivers, bolt catch release that works in conjunction with my side charge carriers. I have 12.7 by 42s, which shoot the 50 Beowulf caliber. I have 223 Wilds, which shoot the 223 M556 ammo. Benefit of it is accuracy. I custom build everything. I test fire everything I make. Nothing's the same. Anything unique and different is what I go for.